Welcome to What's a Mom podcast. You are listening to Doulas Petra
and Jacqueline.
Motherhood can be isolating and hard.
We are two doulas who want to provide a safe place to talk about all things mom,
From pregnancy
to birth,
to postpartum.
to parenting.
Join us as we have real conversations about real life.
Hi guys.
Hello, everyone.
It is a late one. It is almost 12. Together at last. Cheers to that.
Yeah, it's been a while since we recorded in
This
person.
doesn't usually happen, so it's a good time.
Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
In case you're new to our podcast, I'm Petra,
And I'm Jacqueline.
and thanks for joining us.
Yeah. It's a fun topic tonight.
Yes, today we're diving into a topic that many women can relate to.
Dude, this is my life right now. Balancing a child in football, a business, and being a mother
Yes.
and a wife. It's a lot.
Balancing parenthood and work.
Oh, it's too much.
It is. It's a lot.
We need as many pointers as we can get. So
We
hopefully
definitely do.
you find this helpful.
Yes. And if you're
Truly.
watching the video, we also have a special guest. Baby Victor's with us today.
Baby Victor.
He decided to wake up in time for our podcast.
Of course he did, because he wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
He wanted to be famous today.
Famous.
Didn't you? Look at that smile. He just smiled big. That's so cute.
So today we're going to talk about some of the challenges and maybe some practical strategies to help kind of manage everything.
Yeah,
So stick around, listen to the end.
it'll be worth it.
I mean, being a mom is a full-time job all in itself.
Oh my goodness. Some days I just even with cooking meals.
Oh, I know.
Just like, I swear, you wake up, you have to feed them breakfast. Like, why? Just kidding. But have to feed them breakfast,
Yeah.
and then you have to clean up after breakfast.
Yeah.
You have to make them lunch. Then you gotta clean that up, and you gotta prep dinner, like,
And then
frickin'
snacks in
usually-
between that.
And you're usually prepping dinner while you're making your lunch. You don't even get a break.
And that's if you're at home.
And that's if you homeschool. Yes.
If you work away from home, then that's a whole other story.
No wonder people are eating frozen meals, because they're like, how do I function?
It's true.
Like,
It's
I
overwhelming
can't.
sometimes.
I can't imagine. That's not even including laundry or anything like that. Like, it's just a lot. So anyways, we feel
Yeah.
we are there.
It can
We're
be
in the middle.
overwhelming. You feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. This is
s-
normal for a mom.
I saw this meme and I sent it to Petra, and it's these guys in a boat. They're referencing mothers, and then how we need help, and then how we try to help each other, but then we're in our own mess, and then we all just fall out of the boat.
Yeah.
And that's just life. So anyways,
It sure is. It definitely applies to our topic today.
definitely applies to our topic tonight. Yes. So yeah,
I'd say one thing to remember is you don't have to be a superhero. Like there's that saying, like, it takes a village, because it literally does.
It literally takes.
We shouldn't be doing everything all by ourselves, because nobody can.
Yeah, just
Nobody
like Petra is getting ready for a podcast, and I went and got baby Victor, and he had peed through his onesie, and I changed him. Like, you just
the extra help.
That's exactly it. That's what we do.
Yeah.
So
we need to learn to balance our life, and we'll help give some strategies, maybe how to help do that, because perfection is a myth. It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist, and if you're striving for that, I feel like you'll just constantly be let down.
Yeah, you would be.
I feel like that right now. I feel like I'm in the middle of just everything. It's a lot.
Speaking of perfection, I think something that I've noticed a lot of moms do is they like to look at one type of mom and get kind of, not without realizing, obsessing over that type of mom. So, for example, a mom could look at like a
Yeah.
1950s wife and say,
Yeah.
I want to be like that. They had it all put together. They looked great. Their house was clean. They
Yeah.
made meals. Their kids were well behaved.
Yeah.
And they get obsessed with this idea of perfection.
Yeah.
But when you really look into it, if you talk to somebody who was alive then, they'll tell you they were anything but perfect.
Yeah.
They had a lot of issues.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean,
yeah,
if you're a perfectionist in one area, you're gonna fall short in another
because you can't do it all.
because you can't do it all.
Mhm.
So you have to give yourself grace.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you will forever just feel like a failure. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's a huge thing. Acknowledging your struggle
Mhm.
because it's going to feel like that. It's normal. There's nothing wrong with you. Doesn't mean you're lazy. Doesn't mean any of that. It just means that we're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
And if you're like us crazy women who have our kids at home most of the time, then it's even harder. I get this all the time. People are like, well, you could just put your kids in school, but I don't agree with things that they're teaching in school. That's just my personal thing that I have, you know?
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I could get rid of my kids for 8 hours a day, but I don't want to. And yeah,
Mm.
it's everybody's thing is different.
Yeah. And I mean, you might be someone who your job is you have to work outside the home and you have no choice.
You
You can't
have
keep your
no
kids there.
choice, and that's totally fine.
So then your kids have to be in school or in daycare or somewhere. Maybe your situation is you work from home and you have to figure out how to balance that. Maybe you work full time, maybe you work part time, maybe you're a business owner and you're trying to figure out how to balance running your own business. There's so many ways that you can
Yeah,
work.
yeah, absolutely. And not everybody's journey is the same.
Yeah.
It's not. He's giving me the eyes and smiling at
Yeah,
me.
it's
I'm
all
so
different.
distracted. It's so cute. Yay, distracting Auntie.
One thing I know a lot of women I've talked to always say is that, like, the mom guilt.
All the
So
time.
real.
Yes.
Feeling like you can't do it all. So maybe
Freaking
you're doing
yes.
great at, like, your meal planning and that, that meal stuff, you finally got it down pat. Oh, now your work is struggling because you're spending all this time trying to figure out stuff at home. Or maybe you're
Yeah.
doing really well with your work and then you're realizing your children are acting out because they feel like they need your
They're
time.
not getting your attention, or you are not playing on
Yeah.
the floor blocks with your kid every minute
Yeah.
of the day. And
Social
they keep
media.
saying, "Play with me, mom." And you feel so
Yeah.
guilty. And it's like, but I can't. I have to do the laundry and I have to do these things. But I don't know. Lately, I've just been feeling convicted in the sense that, like, my littlest is not going to be little for very long. She's going to be
Yeah.
3 in December. And the other ones are 8 and 10. And I'm running out of that time. And soon, I'll want to play blocks and I'll be like, I'll be sad she doesn't want to do that anymore. So I don't know. Lately, I've just kind of let my house go to shambles.
Yeah. It's hard balancing it.
And it's so hard. And it doesn't mean that there's a right or wrong. I think it just depends on what feels good for you and your
Yeah.
mental health. And I think your husband or your partner should be understanding of that.
They should, yeah.
And that's where, we just have to have communication with our significant other and just say, like, the laundry didn't get done today because I was playing blocks or watching Moana and cuddling for the 50th time that day. Like, it's okay to have those times.
Mhm. It's true.
And they are few and far between. They're
Yeah.
fading away as we know it. So,
And when we try to balance it all, it creates burnout. That's all it does. If
that
we're
all it
not
does.
if
Yeah.
we're not finding strategies to manage everything,
No.
then we're just gonna burn ourselves out. And then how does what happens when you get burnt out? You get frustrated. You get stressed out. You get
all
emotional. We begin either crying all the time. We begin yelling at our kids all the time.
all the time.
All these mean that we're just burnt out and overstimulated.
Yeah. And yeah, you might have a super clean house, but how are you feeling after that? After you've had to still drive the kids places and make food and
There's a lot.
still have energy for your husband. Like, me and my husband were just saying that. It's like, you sent me a meme, and it's like, you need to, like, at the end of the day, you're so burnt out from your own crap. He's going
Yeah.
to work, and then I'm dealing with the kids, and he has come home, and he's still, the kids want to be all over him and stuff. And then it's like finding time for you guys to connect and sit there and actually have something in common that's not your kids.
Yeah.
It's a real struggle, man. I've gone on dates, and all I can do is talk about our kids. And he does the same freaking thing. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, we're in trouble, because when our kids are old and grown and they're not here anymore, then what do we have?
Yeah.
So, yes, balancing parenthood and work, it's
Yeah. Because
so important. You were you and him before you had kids.
yeah. And
It's hard.
I mean, sometimes women are blessed enough to be able to stay home full time with kids, but the majority of women are working, whether it's full time, part time, whether it's outside the home or work from home.
Or
And
like I have a network marketing company,
yeah,
so same thing. Like I still do stuff, but from my home. I
yeah.
don't have to go.
And you think about it, like working as a mom, it's a full time job already. And then you add in extra work on top of that, it's mentally and physically exhausting. It really is.
It really is. Yeah, it's a lot.
And so the key that I guess we're going to talk about coming up here is strategies that we can use, yeah, to help manage this.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about some practical strategies for balancing it all.
Yeah.
So the first one would be prioritize and set boundaries.
Oh gosh, you have to. So like, say this is what I've been trying to do. Just so it looks like I'm not lazy and I didn't do anything in my house. I just pick something and I clean it. Something small. Maybe it's like tidying your pantry because it's just insane because kids have gone in there like monsters and they've destroyed it and taken all the boxes and emptied them, and they're all, just little things like that. And then like, you can just be like, hey, I accomplished something, and you don't feel like a giant piece, right? Like
Yeah.
just
Or
something.
sometimes
It's like,
it's
don't
just having the dishes done before you go to bed.
have the dishes done before bed. Like she's in a different phase of life. She has a little one. Me, like I have more time. I can do more. But it's like, also, you also go through times in your life where you're just struggling, and that's okay too. And if that means that you just to eat that day, you go out and get dinner because you just don't have the energy to cook, it is what it is. I did it a few times this week. Sorry, Keith. But I just emotionally, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just going through a lot. So, you know, like just prioritize something.
Yeah,
Doesn't have to be big. And then congratulate yourself on little wins. I think that's really important. It's not
that's
about
true.
doing so many big tasks. It's about I did something.
Yeah,
Whether that's reading your Bible, like for me, that's a struggle sometimes. And so
yeah,
that's like a huge win for me when I put my kids to bed and they're happy and they're fed and they had a good day. That's a big win,
yeah,
you
it's true.
know? And doesn't take a lot.
Yeah. And setting boundaries can look a few different ways. It can
So
be
many.
setting boundaries as in telling your family, like, okay, so I need this time to this time to work to do my job, whether
Yeah,
it's something you're bringing home from work or whether you work from home.
yeah,
Setting those boundaries and saying, like, you need to communicate and saying, this is the time I need to work on this.
I do that.
But
have
also the
to.
other way around,
Mhm.
boundaries for yourself, saying, "You know what? I need time to not work and to
I
just
need
be mom, to just be wife,"
have a
whatever.
bath or
Yeah.
go out with a girlfriend or whatever that might look
So
like.
you need to be able to still, yeah, set boundaries for
Yes.
yourself as well.
Yes.
And knowing, like, how much can I do before I burn out? I don't want to hit that point where I feel burnt out.
No.
So you need to be able to set those boundaries ahead of time and say, like, okay, this is where my max is. And maybe it takes getting to that burnout to know what that is for next time.
Yeah, because if you're burnt out, then you're no good to anyone.
No.
I mean, that's the biggest thing for me is I just got back from a work trip and it's like there's lots of stuff going on in my business, but also like I have a family and I need to make sure that they feel prioritized as well.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing for me is trying to find time and being like, okay, I'll work on my work when you're at work
Yeah.
and my kids, older ones are in school. Really, it's all just doing it in stolen moments. It's not like,
Sometimes that's what
hours.
it is. Yeah.
And I've been writing letters now. That's another part of my thing that I'm doing to
Yeah.
make income. So just setting time to do that. I usually just do that when my husband goes to bed, but
Yeah.
then it doesn't take away time
Yeah.
because yeah, it's a big deal
It
because you
is.
still have to do that.
Yeah.
It's important to you. So
So then the second strategy would kind of go hand in hand with this one, to delegate and ask for help.
yeah,
Very, very important.
yeah,
So delegating basically just means that you're asking somebody else to do certain things so that you don't have to. So maybe that's delegating something at work, so it means less for you, or maybe it's
yeah.
delegating something at home.
Like, hey, could you help the kids with their homework for this time so I can do this really quick so
Yeah.
that when the kids go to bed, we can have an hour before you pass out because you're exhausted by 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if that doesn't happen, then we just, then that gets set to the wayside and that's not good either.
Yeah. And then you can also delegate chores for your children. So age appropriate chores,
I've
depending on your
started
child and what they are able to do.
capable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like younger children, you start them out with, even in their toddler years, picking up your toys,
All the time.
and
Yeah, they can do
they
it.
they can even make their bed. Like my 2-year-old, she makes her bed. I mean, obviously it's not well, but she's learning that idea of what she needs to do.
Yeah. One day she'll get
Yeah.
better at it.
And like your little ones, you can give them a wet cloth and say, "Hey, clean the walls, clean the floorboards. Why
Oh,
don't
my
you
kid
clean
loves
the
to do that.
chairs?" Like they can go around and they can do that, and
Yeah,
they get in the habit of cleaning so that when they're old enough, you can actually delegate out certain chores around the house.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. My husband just started being like, listen, you can get things like we'll be able to give you an allowance, but like we want you, like if you see that there's dishes in the sink, you can help your mom out. You can
Yeah.
put them away, because sometimes I just have them in there drying. And then if the dishwasher is empty, they know how to put dishes away.
Yeah.
They know how to make little meals and stuff. Like
Yeah.
it shouldn't just be up to the mom to do literally everything. My
Mhm.
husband won't even let me fold their laundry anymore. He's just like, give them their laundry, tell them to put it away.
Mhm.
Fold it, put it away. Or just put it away. I don't care. I just want it out of the
Funny,
basket.
my husband started to do kind of similar things.
Yeah,
Where he
because
says
he's
there's
just
certain
like,
things you shouldn't do. The kids can do it now.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And he's like the stickler. Like me, I'm like, oh, it's fine. I put laundry away today because I just went home and whatever.
Yeah.
And I just wanted it done. But like, yes, they are 100% capable
Yeah.
of doing things on their own. Like I heard I my husband sent me this thing and it was like, how can you expect kids to be um, you know, capable of like being good adults if you just constantly do everything for them. If you make their bed, if you clean their bathroom, if you do all these things for them, then how are they going to learn? You're
Mhm.
just setting them up for failure.
It's
And I
true.
was like, oh crap, okay. And I'm like, wow, I do that a lot. I enable them all the time. Or I'll go clean their room and I'll get mad and I'll just go on this rampage and start throwing their crap in bags and go throw it out. And then I'm just like, why am I doing
Oh,
this? Because I should be teaching them how they keep a tidy room.
yeah, it's true.
So, anyways, instead of going on this rampage, like we should be teaching them because we're teaching them to be little adults. And they can't do it
That should be the goal. Yeah,
if we do everything for them. So that's what I've been
it's true.
really convicted. And I think it's really important. And it also helps you because you don't have to do everything.
It does. And we can also ask for help from outside of the home as well.
Yeah.
Like asking family or friends, especially those who have offered. A
Yeah.
lot of times there's people in your life who are more than willing to help. They just don't know what to help with, so you need to
Because
ask.
you don't ask. Exactly. Yeah.
That's something that I had learned finally by my third child, that I actually needed to ask people if I
Mhm.
wanted help. So it could be your mom or your mom-in-law, it could be a sister, it could be a cousin, it could be just a good friend,
Yeah.
it could be somebody from your church, it could be somebody from a class that you take. I mean, who
Mhm.
knows? D- Everyone's situation is going to be different. But it also could mean paying someone to help. So maybe
You
it's paying
hire a cleaner.
a house cleaner. That's what I recently decided to do. My husband and I were talking about some ways to
Yeah.
kind of take some of the burden off of my plate right now.
Yeah.
And I said, well, it's just I'm struggling with keeping the house clean. And
Yeah.
he said, well, then let's hire a cleaner. We'll put it in our budget and we'll figure it out. So we have someone come in every once in a while, and
Yeah.
she's helping me clean for a couple hours now.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a hard pill to swallow at first, because I'm thinking like, oh, like I
I
can't
can
keep up with
do
it, and
I
I
can
should be
do
able
everything.
to. And
Yeah. Yeah.
but then
Yeah.
when my husband brought it up, I thought about it and I was
Yeah.
like, you know
You
what?
just had your fifth baby.
I should be accepting help. Like, it makes sense to have that
Mhm.
extra help. So why don't I?
Because we're human. We don't like
This also could be hiring um someone to watch your child or your children.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you
Yeah.
work from home,
Yeah.
some people will hire someone to come watch the children for a couple hours even when you're in the house,
Yeah.
so that you can go into your office and you can just have
Yeah. Just
uninterrupted
like
time.
focus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's even when you're home and you're not working in that
100%.
moment, you just need some time. Or maybe it's so that you
Mhm.
can go on more date nights with your spouse, right?
Mhm.
There's different reasons you can.
There's so many different
Yeah.
reasons. Yeah.
So delegating and asking for help is always really important
Yeah.
to avoid that burnout.
Yeah. It really does take a village.
So then point number 3, the third strategy would be to embrace flexibility.
That can be hard for a lot of people.
It definitely
I'm like fly at the seat of my pants. Like I'm just that kind of person. And like, yeah. Some people are not though.
can.
And they're different personality
Well,
and it's harder.
yeah.
So like, you have to just decide like how easy that is for you to do.
Well, so I guess like one example would be, maybe you're someone who does meal planning and you
Mm.
plan on all these meals, and then something happens where you get home late, and now the food that you're supposed to be having that day, you don't have time to make it now, or it's not ready in time when you have to leave early or something. So how do you embrace flexibility? Okay, well, now we're going to try to do something else instead of stressing out saying, "But that was on my meal plan. I was supposed to eat it." You know what? We're not going to do that today. We're just going to have something else. Or like you said earlier, we're just having takeout today.
Yeah.
We're ordering.
And it's okay.
And that's okay to do that sometimes. Maybe flexibility just means you normally have a routine for bedtime. You do things a certain way, and then somebody gets sick. Well, don't stress yourself out about it. Instead,
No.
just realize, okay, I'm going to be flexible about this
Yeah,
so that
there's
I'm not
so
burnt
many
out.
different.
Especially if you've been working all day and then now you have something like this happen, and you have to be flexible with it.
Yeah. It's not, I mean, it's not worth crying over,
Yeah.
'cause that just yeah, it just will not be a good thing.
Yeah.
It's okay to not always have it together,
Yeah.
or how they say, "Have your poop in a group." Like,
Yeah.
it is really okay.
It is, yeah.
It really is fine to have that happen. That doesn't mean you're a bad mother
Yeah.
or parent. You just
Yeah. And sometimes
gotta
things
let it
change with
go.
work too. So maybe you
Gosh, all the
thought you were
time.
only going to put in so many hours this week and now you had to put in a bunch more. And your home life is kind of now kind of put into chaos because you're working more. You got to be flexible. You have to find ways around it to say, you know what? Even though I have more work this week, I'm going to spend time
Mhm.
doing XYZ. Maybe we're going to do a family game night. So we have that time together.
Yeah, it's
Um,
true.
maybe my spouse and I we're gonna plan a date night at the end of the week. I don't know, whatever it is that you feel like doing. Like
Yeah,
embrace the flexibility.
yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Life, sometimes you hear, "Go with the flow."
Yeah.
Just what is the flow? Just go with it. Whatever the
Yeah.
flow is,
Yeah.
just go with it.
So strategy number 4, create small moments of self-care.
That's
This
important. Even if that's literally having a bath at the end of
yeah.
the day with Epsom salts, what I did yesterday. But I did not do it alone. I had first of all, it started with the baby, and then my older daughter came in. So sometimes it doesn't work out the way that you wanted, but
Flexibility.
that is something that I just said I was gonna do. So I did it,
Yeah.
and it felt nice.
And
Sometimes it doesn't.
self-care will look different for everyone too. Things that you find
It could be going out
helps.
with a friend,
Yeah.
going out for a walk,
Talking to people,
talking to your friend on the phone, going for coffee. It means
doing
a
a
lot
hobby,
of
maybe you like painting,
yeah,
maybe you like knitting, maybe you like sewing,
yeah.
drawing,
Maybe it's
writing.
just something you like.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. It's important to do things that you did before you were a mom,
Yes.
because you just become that mom and you think that's all you have to be, and it's not. You need to see who, Petra and Jacqueline were before they were married and had kids.
Yeah.
And because you can't pour from an empty cup. So if you're so stressed out and you don't take any time for yourself, it's just going to be
Yeah.
a lot harder for yourself
It's true.
to make life easier for yourself.
It's true.
So,
And you need to make sure that you're not burning out. So taking care of yourself is very important. And this also
yes,
means physically too.
yes, shaving,
Hmm.
you know, sometimes,
Take care of yourself. Yeah.
washing your hair, not looking like,
Yeah.
right? Like it all, like it has, if it's important to you,
Especially for
then
moms who work at home. This can be a big one where it's like, "Oh, I'm at home, I don't need to get dressed, or I don't need to do my hair."
yeah,
Whereas if you left the house, you would be doing all that. So it's something else to think about. The way that you feel about yourself is going to impact how you,
how
like,
you do
are
your
during your day.
day.
Yeah. Because if you feel like, "Oh, I feel really gross and
You're not really
disgusting."
motivated
Yeah, you won't be
usually.
motivated, you're right.
No, that is true. Yeah.
And so it's
And if
good.
you ran into somebody
Yeah.
for business, people are like, I don't
Yeah.
want to do business with you.
Like, you never know what's gonna happen in your days.
You really don't. So I would say that's really important. It's not everything, but if it's important to you to do yourself up during the day,
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah,
Don't think
this doesn't mean you have to do your
no.
makeup and wear dresses, right? It's whatever you feel
This is
comfortable.
the first time I wore makeup since Sunday, since I went to church, because that's just my life right now. And that's
Yeah,
okay.
and
There's
some
nothing wrong with that.
some women just don't wear makeup
Some
at all.
people just don't wear makeup at all. Exactly. It doesn't mean anything. But do things that make you feel good about
Mm.
yourself.
And that also means prioritizing time to exercise,
Yeah.
even if it's just mild exercising, like doing walks
You
or
love your body. You want
going
to take
on,
care of it.
yeah, a bike ride or
Yeah.
Just something light.
Going for a walk, or if it's cold, go to the mall.
Walk around a mall, yeah.
I literally walk around West End all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
Especially in the winter. I'll
Yeah.
go there, we'll get a coffee, we'll just walk around the mall.
Yeah.
Get tons of steps in. Sometimes like 20, 30,000 steps in. Like,
Absolutely.
and you can always find something. You know.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
don't work out because you're like loathing it. Work out because you love yourself and you want
Yeah.
to be healthy. I think that's the biggest thing.
That's true. If you don't
lately.
like weights, then don't lift weights.
Then don't lift
If
weights.
you don't like running, then don't run.
No,
Yeah.
you don't have to. You can go for a walk, or you can just go walk up your steps and down your steps. Like, it doesn't have to be a lot, but it is really important to move your body. Because if you don't use it, you'll lose it.
Oh yeah. That's true. So we've given a bunch of different strategies and techniques, but just remembering that like literally every situation is different.
Yeah.
We all have our own struggles and our own
Don't
areas.
compare yourself.
Mhm.
It's the root of evil. It's awful.
Yeah.
It just is terrible because it
Yeah.
makes you it's awful comparison. It's like, oh well, this mom does this, this, and this. It's like, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Who cares?
And a lot of times you can look at one mom and think, wow, she's it put together. Like she's doing so well. How is she so organized? How is she so um like getting out and doing all this stuff? How is she so put together? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes.
No, you have
No
no
idea.
idea. She could be literally crumbling because
Yeah.
she's so
Maybe she's burnt out.
she's so burned out. I have a friend that is like that. It is, yeah, she tries to do everything. I get it.
Yeah. I've had times like that too where I take all my kids out and people will be like, wow, you're out with 4 kids now, out with 5 kids, and you're doing it by yourself and you homeschool and
They're
you
like,
look great. Like,
wow.
how are you doing that? And like secretly, I'm like so overstimulated and so burnt out. And I'm just like, oh, I can't wait until the kids go to bed. So I just have time to sit and be like, oh, finally.
I don't have to
But we don't
cater to
yeah.
someone.
But I mean, the truth is we shouldn't feel that way. That
No,
means we've hit that max.
that means that you need to slow down.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like we're not saying all these things to you because either of us are perfect. We are far from it.
Far from it.
But we're trying to also use these tips for ourselves and our lives too, because again, we're moms just like you guys.
Yeah, and we don't really have a choice. Otherwise, you won't make it.
Yeah.
Stress is bad and it causes sickness in the body, and it's
It does.
really, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
We need to, slow down and realize it's okay to not have it all together all the time.
Yeah.
And if your house is not a show home, it's okay. Your kids, when they're older, they're not going to be looking at that.
Yeah.
They're going to be looking, what you modeled in your marriage, and what, time, how many football games you went to. It's not exactly my favorite thing to go freeze my butt off at my son's games, but I do it
Yeah.
because
The
he
time that you're
always
spending.
looks over and he lights up because he knows I'm there.
Yeah.
And that's why we do what we do.
That being said, though, too, you also don't have to have your children in any kind of
No,
classes and
not at
sports and
all.
all that either.
That just makes it a lot harder. My son's like, I want to do hockey, and I wanted to cry because he already does football. He did it 4 days a week. Now it's only 3, and that's like,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
And you got to figure out what works for your situation. Like some parents, they do
Yes.
all the things and they're gone almost every day of the week.
Like this one here.
Yeah.
She's a crazy person. Like, seriously, crazy person.
But then other families, they're like, you know what? We're not going to do any of those classes. We're just going to like do things as a family. And if it's a class, it's a group class that we can do together or something, not like the sports and stuff. I mean, you got to find what works. There's not one right or wrong way to do it.
No.
It's whatever works for your family.
Whatever works. And you're not less a parent if you have your kid in multiple things a week or nothing at all. There's nothing wrong with that.
The key is just finding your rhythm and saying, okay, this is what works for us. And it's making our life easier, not harder. So if you decide you want to do the sports or the classes or whatever, you got to find a rhythm and say, okay, so how are we going to do this
work?
Yeah, without burning out.
Yeah.
So like for what I've done, when my husband's out of town, I actually set alarms on my phone for when I have to leave the house, and I add an extra 15 minutes on because I know it takes a lot longer to get out the door. So to help me remember all these things, I have these alarms on my phone. So I'm like, oh, okay, guys, you gotta everyone go get your shoes and your jackets on because there's always something last minute.
Yeah, for real.
And that has helped me with like create this rhythm in my day. So I'm not so stressed out about going places and doing things.
Yeah.
Sometimes that rhythm is like, okay, we decided like for our family, maybe having a schedule of like we eat at these times. Maybe that works. Maybe other people, they don't want a schedule like that. And they're just like, you know what? When we get hungry, we're gonna go and make food.
We're a fly at the seat of our pants kind of family. Yeah. You gotta do what works for you.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Don't take yourself too seriously. Life is too short. And I feel like the dishes are always going to be there. The laundry is always going to be there. And you just have to prioritize what means the most.
Yeah.
And it can be different all the time. Just make sure that you give yourself grace and you don't burn yourself out because it's not worth it.
It's true.
And then it just leaves you frustrated and angry.
Yeah.
And you don't get it done anyways.
Yeah.
So.
And things that are a priority can change through the seasons too of life.
Always.
So what's important when you have a newborn is going to be different than what's important when you have a teenager. And everything in between. And if you have one child or if you have 6 children, certain things that you prioritize could change.
It all changes. It changes daily. You just gotta go with the flow.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Just go with the flow.
So hopefully you're able to use some of those strategies to kind of help manage life with parenthood and work. Because it's not easy, but know that whatever your situation is, you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
You are a wonderful mom.
Yeah.
A wonderful partner.
Yeah.
Probably a wonderful friend.
Yeah.
And if you're trying your best, that's all you can do. There's no such thing as perfection.
No.
So be kind to yourself, like Jacqueline said.
Amen. Till next time.
What the mom?